Hi guys and welcome back to Chef's Choice. So it's Friday after the two semi-finals of the Eurovision Song Contest 2017 have happened and there's a lot to talk about. So we now have seen all the 43 performances. So I will try to make my final top 5 prediction at the end of this video. But first I will talk about my surprises, my disappointments and questionable decisions in my opinion that happened in the semi-finals. So I'll start with my surprises, the songs or the performances that I was more intrigued by than I thought I would be initially. So I'll start with the first semi-final. The biggest surprise for me there was Portugal. Well, it isn't really a surprise because I always had this as a strong favorite, but I wasn't sure at all how it would turn out because we didn't see him in the rehearsals. So I was excited to see that and it worked perfectly. It created this island of calmness around the whole other contestants. And it was, for me, the most special moment of the night. So a clear qualifier and still a strong favorite for me. Another surprise in semi-final one was Albania, actually. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for her to qualify. But I think her voice stood out much more in the live version than in the studio version. And I really appreciate that. So I'm a little bit sad that it didn't make it. Greece was better than I thought as well. The whole performance worked better on screen than when we saw it in rehearsals. I don't get the ending. I think the plexiglass with the water projection on it or whatever it is. What's the point? But all in all, it really looked cohesive and it made sense for the song. Initially I thought it needed more party, more dance, but it works. So I'm okay with them qualifying. Armenia was a surprise for me as well, even though I liked it before, but it really came together nicely as well. The only thing that I don't understand is why she has a handheld microphone instead of a headset, because it would look much better if she had both of her hands free. But it is one of the best choreographed and most thought through performances, I think. Slovenia was actually a huge surprise for me as well. I think he came to life on stage. I loved his facial expressions. He didn't make it, which I thought, because the song is still very cheesy, and so I completely understand that. But I was surprised positively with his performance. And the last one, and the last surprise for me in the semi-final one was Poland, because I never really liked the song, but I kind of understand it now. It's still not one of my favorites, but it kind of works, and so I understand why it made it to the final. The surprises for semi-final 2, the biggest surprise for me is Norway. It really came together nicely. It worked well in the running order. It didn't seem as static as I thought it would be. And I think Alexander, the singer, had a really great charisma on stage and a great stage presence. And I think that's why they made it, because the song, as I always said, is quite good, but they were lacking some charisma, in my opinion. So I'm really happy that they made it and they deserve to make it. The next big surprise in semi-final 2 is Switzerland. I'm really sad that they didn't make it. I think they should have, instead of Austria, which I will talk about later. I think it works. It's cheesy as hell, but they took a risk, which I'm proud for, because Switzerland usually goes very safe or boring, and they didn't go boring at all with this one. Miruna sang perfectly. So I'm disappointed that they didn't make it, but it was a huge surprise for me as a performance, and probably the one that I'm most sad about. And the last surprise, but I said that in my rehearsal review video already, was Israel. They really stepped up their game. The whole choreography works perfectly. I think Imri's energy level was on point. Of course there were some pitchy notes, but in that case I'm okay with it, because the whole choreography is the part that makes it exciting. It won't be a winner, it might get into top 10, but maybe even not that. But I'm happy that they made it to the final, and I think they rank much better than many people thought they would. So let's go to the disappointments. I've said a few of them already. So the biggest disappointment for me in regards of the whole Eurovision process, from knowing the song and liking it to seeing the rehearsals and then the final performance, is Australia. I think they completely messed it up. Isaiah felt uncomfortable on stage, which made me feel uncomfortable. He was almost shaking out of nervousness. And I mean, let's not talk about all the pitchy notes towards the end. I don't understand how this could make it through to the final. Yeah, I'm shocked, actually. Maybe his performance was perfect in the jury show, and that made the jury vote for him. From what I've seen in the official live show, it was just terrible. I was also disappointed with Finland, actually. I always liked the song, but I always thought that the performance already in the national final, but also now in the semi-final. I'm sorry to say that, but I think the singer doesn't come across as very likable. She does in the interviews and etc., but not on the stage. She sang for herself and not for the audience. As opposed to Portugal, that managed to create this special moment during the whole show that pulled you in. Finland just didn't achieve that, and I understand why they didn't make it through to the final, even though many people were shocked. I'm also disappointed with Cyprus. I thought I would like the performance, but I didn't. It's too constructed for me. I think the whole balancing acts don't really work with the lines on the floor. I think the lines on the floor just don't look like something they could fall down from. I like the concept of the performance. I really think this balancing thing could have gone really well, but it didn't, in my opinion. In semi-final 2, I only have 2 disappointments. The biggest one is Austria. Yeah. For me, the whole staging doesn't fit the emotions of the song. I think his vocals weren't on point. His movements are not well thought through. He just does whatever he feels like with his hands, but that is always the same. So there's no variety. I love the song, I love him as a person, but it's actually I enjoyed Switzerland much more than this one. I really don't even know what to say. Also the choreography on the moon itself, why? I mean, just to make one step up, I don't know. But they did make it through, and we'll watch it again, and let's see where it ends up. Croatia is another one that I was a little bit disappointed. I was really surprised when I saw the staging and the rehearsals, so that was the moment where it grew much more on me than I thought it would. And then when I saw the actual performance in the semi-final, I was a little disappointed because it didn't come together as much as I thought it would. But it is nice, and especially the second half of the song. I think the first half doesn't work as well with the big faces that he, where it looks like he's singing to himself. Yeah, it's a little awkward. Yeah, but I'm happy that it made it through, and it is a really unique act. So these are my biggest disappointments. The questionable decisions. I missed Georgia. It was neither a disappointment or a surprise for me in regards of the performance, but I really thought that would be enough to make it to the final, and it wasn't. And I don't really understand why, because there was Australia, which was terrible in comparison to what Tamara gave us. Even Slovenia, I think, was better than Australia. So these were my questionable decisions for semi-final 1. Yeah, semi-final 2, I think, as I said, Austria and Switzerland should have switched places, in my opinion. So that's what happened for the semi-finals. All in all, I did enjoy the shows. I thought there weren't... I think the biggest highlights were Armenia, Portugal, Israel, actually, kind of, and Bulgaria, of course, which I didn't talk about in the surprises because I thought it would do as well as it did. So these 4 are my highlights of the semi-finals, and there are still a few highlights to come with the Big 5. So here's me trying to predict the top 5 in the final. I think number 5 could be Armenia. I think it's really a perfectly well choreographed performance, despite the issue that I have with the microphone. On place number 4, I have Italy. That lost kind of few places because I don't think it's as exciting anymore as it was in the beginning. The staging is a little too big for him. The backup vocalists distract from him. His charisma wasn't as good as it was in the national final during the rehearsals. This could change, of course. Maybe he blows me away again, as he did in Amsterdam during the final, but I don't think it will. So it ends up on place number 4. Place number 3, I think, could be the UK. As I said in my last video, this is the biggest surprise for me of all the 43 acts. The whole staging of the song really made this song step up like 5 levels or even more for me. It's the perfect concept for this song. So I really hope that Europe votes for it, and so it ends up on place number 3. Place number 2, Bulgaria. It's really great. I don't like the squiggly drawn lines that appear on screen, but the whole performance really works. He has presence, he has his choreography completely under control. It reminds me of Australia last year, of course, because of the movements and the effects. That's all I have to say about Bulgaria. It deserves the 2nd place. For me, it's not a winning performance, but it's really good. And on number 1, I have Portugal again. It never left my top 5, but I didn't think it could win until I saw it in the semi-final. Now I think this is the special moment, and I wish it luck. So that's my top 5. Of course, it can come out completely differently, but that's what I would be happy with. So let's see what happens tomorrow. I'm excited, and I'm sure we have a great show ahead of us. And I'll talk to you after the final. So enjoy, and have a great weekend, and see you soon. Bye.